Hello and welcome to this new class. We are going to do some exercise for especially flexion, hip flexion, but also stretching the back of the legs and how to place the pelvis in all this and how to place our belly. So I wish you had already done the exercise with the ball and the inclined plane. And let's start with this new session. Have a good practice. So let's start in Tadasana. You put all your weight in your heels. You let your weight place your body everywhere. You let everything take its place. Don't try to control. Just watch how your mass, the center of the mass, is moving from side to side, in the front, in the back. If your weight is on your heels, is it in both heels the same, or more in one or in the other one? Just try to feel how weight is going from one side to the other, to the front, to the back, trying to find the center. Try to feel the difference between the exterior of the heel and the interior of the heel. Try to feel the difference between the left and the right knee. Are they the same? Is the left and the right hip the same? Do you feel any pain anywhere? Try to connect your heels to the center of the head and to the crown of the head. And just notice how is your breathing. And for this session we are going to need a chair. I will take a chair. You put the chair in front of you, and we are going to use the chair to stretch the quad. So either you come on your knees and you put one leg in front, or you just stand before the chair and make a big step towards the back, and you put your heel on the floor, or in something that is a little bit less I lost the word. Less solid than the floor. Not to have pain in your knee only. And you are going to push yourself towards the back with your front leg and push yourselves towards the front with your back leg. And the chair is going to be there to let me push myself with my hands as well. So in the beginning, maybe I start there, and then I can start pushing myself with my legs and with my hands. And this helps you control if your pelvis is horizontal and facing front. So the pelvis in this story is really facing front, and the center of the pelvis is on the outside of the back knee. And you keep pushing yourself towards the back and pushing yourself towards the front. And you find a balance. And this helps you stretch the back leg, the quad. And you stay there. Try to feel the tension in the quad. Try to feel what's happening in your breath. Are you breathing with your belly or are you breathing with your rib cage? And you continue. Continue both actions of pushing you towards the back and pushing you towards the front with the legs. This is going to place the pelvis, to put it in the right place. And the pelvis is going to put your back in the right place. Back that stays erected. Once you feel that it's enough for your back leg, you can help yourself with the chair to come up and to come towards the front or towards the back. And you stay there just to notice a little bit the differences in both legs. And to go to the other side, it's going to be the same thing. So you come towards in front of the chair. You come in a balance in the front leg, and you make a big step towards the back. And you put your knee on the floor. Try to control the place of your pelvis. If the axis of the pelvis is on your knee, then it's okay. If you are towards the middle of your distance between the feet, this is going to be difficult, but it's not going to be okay for your knee as well. So try to bring the axis of your pelvis on the knee. And you can push yourself towards the front with your back leg and push yourself towards the back with your front leg. Try to bring yourself in balance before doing everything else. You bring your pelvis in balance, facing front and horizontal. And once you feel you are stable and you are well positioned in your legs, you can start pushing yourself towards the back with your hands and with your foot, and the back leg resists. It's in the back of your leg that you feel the contraction, the back of your leg, which wants to lengthen the front of the leg, to open the hip. And we are here in a simple, really simple exercise to stretch your your quad, but it's the beginning of quad stretching. You can turn the toes towards you in the back if you want. It brings a little bit more of flexion in the knee, so a little bit more of stretching in the quad. And you stay there. Just try to feel what's happening. Is it everything balanced, or you come out of balance somehow? Stay present in the posture. Feel what's happening in your body. Push yourself towards the back with your front leg and push yourself towards the front with your back leg. Try to connect also the crown of your head with your knee, with your back knee. And continue pushing yourself towards the back, and the back leg resists. Feel what's happening with your pelvis and with your belly. Your belly shouldn't be compressed. The belly only works for you to just to breathe out. So when you breathe out, you have your transverse abdominal that is active and makes you breathe out. And when you release it, it lets you breathe in. And you stay there. And if you feel that it's enough and you feel that is enough stretch for the moment, we can come up on both feet. Feel the differences. So it's really minimal, 3 or 4 minutes. It's the basics. After some time, you can lengthen the exercise. We are going to make the real warrior 1 now, which means my front leg, which is going to push me away behind, so I don't need the chair. If you want, you can try this also. You put the brick in front of your knee just to feel that it's going to be your knee that is going to push you towards the back. And don't try to straighten your knee, because it's not going to let your back keep its form. We don't need to bring a lumbar lordosis really up. Lumbar lordosis is very, very low, right here. Not like this. And you stay with your knee pushing the wall. You can let your other heel come towards the back. And once we are in horizontal position of the front hip, the front thigh, it's all right. We stop there. That's the limit of the warrior. Just try to feel if your belly is all right. If you want, you can bring your arms up, interlock the big fingers, and create traction between your 2 arms. And if you want, you can bring your other knee on the floor And with the hand in the side you are stretching, you can just bring this on the wall and try to bring the other one towards the back of your body. You can try to create a torsion with your hand that makes you turn on the side. And then you come up, you bring your body in the two legs, and then with an ankle extension you come towards the front. So that would be warrior first. Try to feel the difference between the two sides. Try to feel what's happening. How is your breathing? How are both legs, both sides of the pelvis? Both sides of your belly? Is your perineum reacting when you breathe out? You can try by doing a little wah, wah, wah. And you feel if your perineum is reacting with this. Wah, wah. Just try to compare both sides. And to go to the other side, we are going to do it with the brick again. So I put the brick in my front leg, and since I'm going to use my front knee to push me towards the back, I have to be in the axis with my front knee. So I come in a balance on my foot, and then I push myself towards the back with my knee. I let the other knee come down till my thigh is horizontal, and I flex my knee. I don't I don't create a very high lordosis here. I want to first let my quad stretch. And it's important to create this connection between the crown of the head and the other side of the back, which is the coccyx, the little bone, the tailbone. We let the heel come towards the back, the back heel. You can hold yourself on your thigh. You can as well create a traction between your arms and create space between your neck and your shoulders. And if you want, you can also put your hand on the wall and try to push the wall to make you turn towards the front leg. The other hand can come in the back. And you can put your heel down, remove the brick, come in both legs, and push yourself towards the front. So this would be warrior 1 dynamics, where we are in a stretch of the quads. Try to feel the differences. Try to feel what's happening in your face as well. Both sides of your nostrils. Feel which side is fresher. Feel which side of your mandibula is lighter, less contracted. Feel the differences between the eyes. And then we are going back to the chair. We are going to come again in balance. So when I come in balance, the axis of my body is on the axis of my foot, and I will flex myself towards the chair, and I will try to lengthen my foot towards the wall, create distance between my heel and the crown of the head. You keep yourself on the front heel. You can push the big toe on the floor, and you can push the other big toe towards the wall even if it doesn't touch the wall. And you stay there. You want to open this hip. And you stay there. You can try, if you want, to repeat some deep exhales, like what we did before. Feel if your pelvis is reacting to that. With your arms, you push the chair towards the floor, and this brings space between the two shoulders. And then you come up. You just put the leg in the side of the other one. Then you come up. Feel the differences. Feel what's happening in both legs, in both sides of the pelvis. Both sides of the perineum. And you can compare like this the effects of the posture. Where does energy go by just being in one posture and not by taking one posture? To go to the other side, we are going just to stand in front of the chair, come in a balance in the other leg, and then we try to bring the leg towards the back and the arms towards the chair, We stay in the heel of the front leg, and we can push the back heel towards the wall to bring length between the heel and the crown of the head. We keep always this action of pushing the head towards the front. And we keep also active the gesture of pushing the chair towards the floor with the arms, with both arms. And we try to just bring the other leg horizontal. We don't need to make more. Just try to straighten the knee. That's all. And we stay there. Try to feel also if your pelvis is horizontal or if it's collapsing in one side. And then you come towards the front. You put both feet side by side, and you come up, and you feel the differences between the two legs. This was the dynamics of Warrior 3, which is a flexion towards the front for each leg. If I was on the wall, I would be there in a flexion for my front knee, for my front hip, and an extension for the other one, and I would be there. But having the weight on the leg brings more work for the leg, so more activity, more extension for the back of the leg. And it's the same thing as we did the other day. It's what we did with the band, holding the band. It's the same thing in different positions of gravity. We are also going to try another flexion, which is this posture is really efficient for lengthening the back of the legs. It's really efficient because it brings a lot of work in both legs and a lot of flexion as well. It's one of the first postures that Iyengar gives to work the legs, in fact. So we are going to explain this. PARSVOTANASANA, you are normally in a distance of the feet, not very important, as in many other asanas. So to take this posture, we come in a balance. We come in a balance on one foot, and we bring the other one as much as possible towards the back. We put the toes on the wall, on the floor, and we roll on the toes to bring the other heel on the floor, and we try to keep the external sides of the feet parallel to the axis of the body. And what we do next is we try to flex in the hips by taking care of keeping the pelvis in the axis between the 2 feet keeping the pelvis facing front, horizontal, and we just flex the body in the axis of the hips. So normally it's a big flexion for the front leg, but it's a big flexion for the back ankle as well. And we try to flex towards the front. For the moment, we are going to take this posture only by keeping these dynamics and not going very far on the posture. Try not to block your knees. You put your hands on the chair, and to start with, we are just going to stop there. We are not going to go further. Keep in mind this gap between the two muscles in the bases of the back, the really low lumbar lordosis. This should be present. You shouldn't create a false flat back, but you keep the normal lordosis on the basis of the back only, and not higher as well. Only here. Higher, there's no reason to have lordosis. And you stay there. Just feel what's happening in the back of your leg. If you feel comfortable enough, you can flex your back knee and try to come a little bit more towards the back. You try to bring your knees close to each other, and you can help yourself with the chair and with your arms. Try to bring a distance between the crown of your head and the tailbone. And you just stay there. It's alright. To start with, we are just going to stay like that. We are not going to bring any more flexion in the front foot, in the front leg. So feel free to stop whenever you want. You don't need to be as flexed as I am. It's alright. The important is to keep both heels on the floor, to keep the pelvis horizontal and facing front. And even if I stop there, it's alright. If you stop here, just take the chair and you can use it to help yourself. And to come up, you use the chair and your legs. And you feel a little bit the difference between the two legs. To feel what's happening, to feel how is it going. Feel what's happening in your belly. And to go to the other side, it's the same. You come in a balance in your front foot, and you bring the other one as much as possible towards the back without letting your pelvis turn. You keep your pelvis horizontal and facing front. And then you roll on the toes to put the heel on the floor. So already here you feel that the back ankle is stretching. And to flex towards the front, we just need to flex in the axis of the hips and not anywhere else, not here, not here, only here. And you can put your hands on the chair and try to bring distance between the crown of the head and the tailbone. Try to keep really the pelvis in horizontal plane, facing front and horizontal. And you flex. Don't collapse towards the back and don't collapse towards the front. Keep the axis of your hips in this horizontal position, facing front, and you try to just flex in this axis. Let your belly free, feel what's happening with breath. If anything is not going well, you can just come a little bit higher. Try to keep here your lordosis and not higher. Create space between the crown of the head and the tailbone and let yourself come down if possible. So this is a kind of preparation for the posture. Normally Parsvotanasana is way deeper than this in the flexion. I will show you in the end. So you stay really conscious of this stretch in the back side of the leg and in the side of the leg as well. In your glutes, in your leg, everywhere. So this position for the leg is a little bit of internal rotation. For the thigh. In Parsvotanasana, we don't have as much of internal rotation because we don't need it. Supposedly, we have already stretched the back of the leg, so we can come lower more easily when we don't have this internal rotation. But the thing is, if we really want to come lower, we have to work with the length of the fascia and the muscles in the back of the leg first, and then once we have done that, we can come deeper in the posture without creating danger for the back. If I do this and the back is like that and I want to bring my head to the knee, this is dangerous for the back. So this is the difference between correct Parsvotanasana and incorrect posture that can harm everyone someday. And then you come up as you wish on both legs. Feel the differences. Feel what's happening in both sides. So Parsvotanasana is a very interesting posture because it inverts gravity inside of the body. Your visceral mass comes towards the diaphragm and lets the breathing become more natural because there's not so much weight to carry for the transverse abdominal. So it's an interesting posture for the perineum and for the diaphragm and for the transverse abdominal. And it brings more blood in the glands as well, many other things I can speak about, but voila, that's it. So try to feel the differences. We are just going in a simple flexion towards the front this time. It's ARDHA Uttanasana. Normally, we keep both external sides of the feet facing front, parallel to each other. We keep all the weight on the heels, and we are going to stop there using the chair. And all I want is bring towards the back my pelvis, and I keep myself from falling with the chair. And what I do here is I let my belly really free, and I try not to create a false lumbar lordosis over here, but I keep it here, really low. And I try to bring myself towards the back. It's only the pelvis that comes towards the back. This is what stretches the back side of the legs and helps you pick things. If you don't want to have problems with your back, this is really necessary to understand how to place your pelvis when you flex towards the front. It's necessary to understand because it's the pelvis which is going to decide how your back is going to be in the posture. If my pelvis is there, my back is going to be round here. If my pelvis is there, my back is going to keep its lordosis here. And this is a big difference, especially for who has already experienced herniated discs. This is really, really different, and you feel it easily. Stay on your heels. Give time to the posture to stretch the back of the legs. If you want, you can bring your hands on the shins. If you want, you can hold a brick in front of you. The chair is alright. Try to create space between the crown of the head and the tailbone. And you stay there really, really without any effort. You want to push the big toes on the wall and the heels on the wall. On the floor and the heels as well. Pushing the heels on the floor brings more extension in the knees without blocking the knees. And pushing the big toes on the floor brings an activation of the inside of the thighs. You feel it. Try to push and stop pushing, and you will feel the difference. And then you can come up if you want. So this is one exercise you should do really often to lengthen the back of your legs, especially if you do many activities like this one and you need flexion. It's really something that is useful for everyday life. So we are going now towards a little extension. So this is this posture. It's the same as Dandasana. So it's a smaller extension for the back of the legs because there is no weight that is carried by your heels. But in Dandasana, you need to use your hip flexors to keep yourself towards the front and not falling towards the back. So you keep hip flexion active, and this works your hip flexors. And as well, you push your big toe towards the front to activate the inside of your hips. And you stay there. You can use your arms if you want to help yourself. And you push yourself towards the ceiling with the heels of your hands. The heels of your hands, it's this part here. in the wrist, under the wrists. And when you are in Dandasana like this, or the stick pose, you are at the same posture as we was before, by holding the chair. And what we want is to bring the knees towards the ceiling, but the length of the back of the legs is stopping us from doing this. And I want you to really understand we don't need to use any of the abdominal muscles, but it's only the hip flexors that come towards us, wanting to keep the pelvis in a correct position. So this is going to work your hip flexors, but as well is going to make you understand that when we flex towards the front, we don't need at all to compress the abdominal zone to come lower. So this would be going towards Paschimottanasana, but when your back is not well placed, it's very dangerous. So it's more interesting to stay in Dandasana and create more strength in your hip flexors that are going to keep your pelvis in the correct position to go towards Paschimottanasana and lengthen more the back of the legs. This is sufficient for this session. We are only in the 6th session. I think that if we want to go really towards Paschimottanasana, we need a lot more practice than this. So it's not something we are obliged to do. We are just evolving towards the postures little by little. We are going to see with time passing that the body is going to evolve, and we are going to be able to go towards any posture we want. But this is as well a really necessary condition to be able to go to sitting postures as well. So sitting postures need an action in general, or at least they need supporting, because this is less demanding for the back of the legs, and this can be more time. I can stay more like this than on the floor. And this is the same thing as I was sitting in the chair, and I was going towards the flexion like this. The chair is going to go away. So this is a thing, it's the same thing, but I have now some more weight on my legs, and I am going in the same posture as before. So this was Dandasana, and this is at the same time the posture I just did, ARDHA UTTANASANA. And then I'm just going to come down in a little torsion. We are going to explain one little thing. If I am interested in torsion, I have to pay attention to my lumbar lordosis. So if I want to create a torsion in my spine, and my lumbar lordosis is not there, is not present, the problem is that lumbar vertebrae are not capable of keeping themselves linked to each other when I go in torsion. So if they don't have lordosis as they should normally, and I am rounding my back and I go to the torsion, here I risk displacement of the vertebra. So keep in mind every time we go on the floor to make a torsion, you should be able to put something something on the back of your lumbar zone, really low, to keep safe your lumbar lordosis. And this is what I'm going to do. If I go on the floor, I will put this here just to see that I keep this space when I come down. I don't flatten my back on the floor. It's not at all what you have seen by people doing abdominal muscles, keeping the back on the floor. This is not at all in this logic. You keep your lumbar lordosis safe. To go to JATARA PARIVARTANASANA, which is a simple torsion, you bring both arms in the sides and you bring both legs towards the ceiling, and you just let your legs come down. But this can be a little bit hard in the beginning. You can just bring the legs in a chair posture without compressing your abdominals, and keeping this place behind your lumbar zone, and you are just going to let yourself roll towards one side. Pay attention to your shoulders. If one of the shoulders comes up, you come up. You don't need to come down. You just put a brick and you stop with the brick where your shoulder stops coming up. Just keep your shoulder where it is, and you can just let your legs on the brick. And with time, you are going to be able to bring more torsion in your back and let your legs on the floor. Try to feel what's happening in your body with your breath. Try to feel what's happening in the visceral zone, in the kidneys. Then you come up, you push your hand towards the floor to help you come up. And then you come in the other side, so you just resist with your hand on the floor. Resist the torsion little by little. You stay where it's okay. You don't go more. When your shoulder comes up, you can stop yourself with the brick, and you just put your feet on the floor, and you just stay there. And if you want, you can finally let your knees come on the floor without letting your shoulder come up, and you stay there. And you feel what's happening in your neck. You feel what's happening with your breath. Feel what's happening in your rib cage. And this is a torsion. We don't stay really long, so it's okay if you just stop with your brick or something else. It's all right. And then we are going to come in the front, lengthen the legs, create a tension between both both big toes. This is going to create internal rotation in the hips, and this is going to place correctly the pelvis, and then you want to grab the mat both sides and create the tension in the mat. So this is going to place your elbows, and then you release everything, and you are in Savasana. If you need a block, you can put a block under your head, so your chin is not going to point towards the ceiling, but it's going to stay towards you, and this is going to lengthen the back of the neck without compressing the front of the neck. And you can stay there and enjoy your Savasana. Feel what's happening in your body. Try to be present in any sensations you feel. This is very interesting, and this is going to make your proprioception evolve. And I thank you for this little session. Enjoy, try to repeat. It's only good for you. Thank you again, and have a good day.